Hello, and welcome, my good students, back to our War on the Sea Let's Play series, as of course Imperial Japanese Navy. Now, we are once again in our waiting game, aren't we? We have taken Iwo Jima back. We still have a few defenders to remove on there, and we are in a same position on Cebu. And of course, the story now is still wait for resupply and reinforce with our incoming supplies. Where are they about? We don't have these ones. We do have a couple, don't we? Yeah, we've got some supplies on this Kamigawa Maru here going down to Davao. That will give us some supplies on there very nicely indeed. But we are waiting mostly for this engineering task force over here to shore up our integrity over here on our Philippines bases, and we do have our minor resupply task force doing exactly the same thing here with some more supplies and troops. I believe we might have just a few troops here in our destroyer escort, which is not too bad, but the supplies are exactly what we want over here. We are sending back, after destroying the Renown class battle cruiser previously, a few ships from our fighting force too. You can see that's looking rather thin now, although we're still with a couple destroyers, a couple heavy cruisers and Yamato. That can take on a few lighter task forces there. We are sending back the Mogami, Shirayuki and Nenehi there. Nothing too bad going on with them, but they do have quite a lot of compartments damaged, and I don't want to run the risk of losing any of them, especially not the heavy cruiser there. We do not have many at all, especially Mogamis. We only have 4 of those in total, which is pretty much the case across the board with our heavy cruisers, of course. So limited is very much the word there. So the Guam Defence Task Force are going to have to pick up any major surface fleets in the area here. And of course we do still have our CVs over here, Shokaku, Kaga and Taiyo supporting them. Very, very nice indeed. So we're not losing too much over here. And we do have our level 3 airfield finally on truck. That's only taken 170 days or so. But not to worry there. It's looking very, very nice indeed. That forward base there. Very, very major base of ours out in the sticks there. So the plan for today, once again, try and reinforce the Philippines bases and let our resupply happen so that we can actually get some supplies onto our ships over here, and so that we can reinforce our invasion support task force here. I'm clicking the wrong buttons. It is this one, so that we can get this out and active once again there. And that should take 3 days time. We're going to get resupplied day 182, so not bad at all there. Not much else to say really, just waiting once again. So let's get going and see what we can find today. And of course, I'm sure many of you will remember this. In the previous episode, I believe it was, we did spot a rather nasty invasion force once again around Truk and Guam bases. And here it is, we have respotted it once again. We're going to have to go back onto the map to mark that out. We're just going to refresh our memories of what exactly was in this task force. We could see a hospital ship, a C3, another hospital ship over there, 1 Omaha there, another in the second leading position there, 3rd Omaha behind here, excellent, and a Brooklyn as well, and a few minor destroyers. Looks like we have some Clemson Witzes about. What else might we see? Benson Gleaves over here, not to worry there. So there will be a lot of small arms AA about, as to be expected. But not to worry, nothing too major here. I think we will use the carriers while we can to try and at least get the cargo ships out of the way. Maybe one of the Omahas as well, be quite nice indeed. Let's go back to the map and try and mark that up. So that was over here. And actually only just realising that might well have been in range of our minor resupply task force over here. So that's rather dangerous. Going to have to move our CVs closer and to intercept that. We do have our I-54 over here with 11 torpedoes available, so we're going to send that directly over as well. And with the CVs, I think we're going to have to launch out some zeros, of course. Let's send out these zeros from the Kaga, like so. We'll send them all the way over here, and I think we'll try and send out some. Do we go with Kates or Vowels with this? I think we go. Let's go with Vowels at the moment. They're a little safer. and should be okay to get rid of an Omaha at least there, I think. We'll use zeros to distract fire and to go for the cargo ships, I think. So let's move out, see if we can catch that. And just before we're about to engage that task force we just spotted, outside of Iwo Jima we spotted another task force, certainly a fighting force from the formation there. Let's see what we've got. We have a North Carolina. What else do we have over here? We did previously see a North Carolina. I think they only have the one left, so there should have spotted this before. And it looks like we have, in fact, because this is the Adelaide. If we take a report, we have hit this with the torpedo, didn't we? So that's interesting because we've spotted that, if I remember correctly, around the Philippines previously. So that's made a lot of distance. So that will likely be going back to Midway to send this Adelaide back. If we can get something in the area here, let's mark that up once again. Mark that as a battleship for now. Like so. We do have Musashi about somewhere, don't we? It's right over here. And that's not looking too bad either because we did manage to resupply and repair over there, didn't we? Apart from the Kishima there, of course. So we're all good there. Let's try and intercept that. We'll go wide out here for now because they will be rather fast in that task force. Otherwise, let's go and hit that supply convoy, shall we? Okay, so we should be right on their backs, and yet we can see them just over here. Bearing roughly 310, 315-ish is there, so that's not so bad at all. What do we want to hit first then? We're certainly going to go in with our zeros first to distract some AA fire. We're going to have to go for a hospital ship, I think. Just going to have to. No choice in the matter. Let's make sure we're all formed up there. We absolutely are. Just give them some time to truly make that formation. With the vowels, we're going to have to just move around a tad. In fact, if we form up the vowels very quickly into one large formation as well, it's just easier to get the manoeuvring there. Not to worry, and we'll let them circle round. We're not under fire at the moment, no danger just yet. Just outside of their AA range apparently, which is brilliant. How far away are we from the closest ship? Yeah, 11.5 kilometres there, not to worry at all. So let's everyone get into a decent formation there. Slow down here, in fact. We might just dive down a tad to begin with. So, where is that hospital ship we're looking for? It's the number 1 position. Excellent. Let's start moving in that direction then. I think the vowels can lower their speed quite a bit actually, so that they can stay behind the zeros. And we'll just move them so that they do slowly get in range here. And we will send all of the vowels out to one Omaha because we're going to get misses, and they're not the greatest payload, are they, of bombs here? They're not the heaviest of bombs on the vowels, so we'll need all of them to try and sink this if indeed it does happen. The Omaha, let's double check its armour because it doesn't have much at all, does it? Let's see. So sensors and armour, yeah, very, very light on the armour indeed. So let's get those moving. Now, why is one of these zeros not actually forming up here? That's very interesting. It's this particular one. No, it's the 19. Why is the 19 not forming up? It's all the way out here. Oh well, not to worry. Let's move in the vowels. We can go for this Omaha here. What do we do with that? Why is the number? It doesn't matter. We'll lose the number 3 because for some reason that's ignored the fire at will order as well. That's okay. We can lose 1 0 there to the Kingfisher here. I can live with that. So let's keep going. We were going to divide a few of these vowels, weren't we, so that we can tell them to attack a little better there. No need to go in one huge formation there. They can carry on in that large formation, just rather random there. So I think we start telling them to go in, really. Otherwise we're going to lose the opportunity. Let's start speeding up. So aircraft 1 has already been downed. Excellent. That was very, very quick indeed. Did not waste any time on that Kingfisher, did they? So I think we carry on at a decent speed here as we approach. Leave it for a little bit of time before we decrease our speed with the zeros and then start getting on top of this hospital ship here. So we're just going to just compress time a tad, slow down our speed and tell them to attack. They do still need to dive down. Yeah, there's a lot of anti-air fire over here, and I think we do tell the Vals to attack from here. So let's target the number 5 with everyone, because it's taken that away since we formed everyone up. And that's not to worry there. Excellent. We'll go in there. And that will do for that. So hopefully that's timed okay. Still quite a bit of distance between us there. We're going to lose a lot of zeros on the approach here, so hoping really for 1 or 2 cargo ships, but that might not be possible with all of this AA fire we're going through. How are we looking though? There we go. Yep, not to worry there at all. Can we move our zeros across to another ship very quickly to help out with this AA fire at all? Maybe we go across, I think actually go straight on over to that C3 actually. Let's manually change our course there, and we should be slow enough to just go straight in on that. Should be all good there. Yeah, that's looking great, isn't it? Get a few more hits in there, that should be alright. Nice little explosions, excellent. Let's form up once again then and actually increase that altitude there and make ourselves a tad safer. The number 1 is going down. We're starting our dives with 1 or 2 of these Vals over here. You can see a huge cloud of them. 1 or 2 zeros on the flank there. Our loose zeros from the formation. Just drawing some AA fire very briefly there. Might be losing 1 or 2 Vals though, would not be surprised. 1 or 2 decent hits on the first drop there, but this is where the money shot is, hopefully. Come on. And that is not so bad. Could have been better. Certainly not going to sink that there. But some very nice damage indeed, I would hope so. Let's have a look. Yeah, heavy damage to moderate flooding. We can live with that. We can absolutely live with that. So let's get the Vals in a large formation. They are increasing their altitude. Let's do us a little more and actually just give them some orders to go all the way through here. Run away, thank you. And what do we want to do with these zeros? Do we go for another ship here? Do we finish off the C3? Shall we take another report to double check that? It's critical damage to heavy flooding. I think you'll wait around for that a little bit and see what we can do. Not the most stellar of attacks by any means though. We did lose a lot of zeros. We lost 3 Vals as well. But we do have Vals in abundance at the moment, so it's not the greatest problem there if we do lose a few Vals. I am more worried about the zeros. I don't want to have to lose too many because of course we are still a little lower than I'd like on truck to resupply ourselves here, so we'll think about that. Again, we'll tell the zeros to just idle around over here. That's looking like we've launched them out with bombs there. Why do we have target indicator there? Don't usually get that. Who's got bombs here? That's rather interesting there. They would have dropped them as well if we did have them. Yes, I've just never noticed that before. Rather interesting indeed. Who knows? Got the target indicator on the map, but we do not have bombs equipped. I think my brain is just addled there. So we'll just wait around for this and I'll come back to you in just a second. Alright, so we've been waiting around for quite a long time now, and that C3 did finally succumb to its flooding and fires, but we're not going to go in for another zero strafing run, and that's because I don't think it's entirely worth it. We are going to lose a lot of zeros there, and their invasion power has been scuppered quite a bit there. They do only have 3 invasion or cargo ships there. And of course have mostly light cruisers and destroyers otherwise, so they could carry a fairly substantial amount of troops and supplies there, but not quite enough to take our base there, I don't think. And we do of course have a lot of tools to get in their way there. We are moving back our Guam Defense Task Force, if we see here. Hopefully that should be fast enough to get in the way there, but we do of course have the I-54 here. We're going to have to reposition that a tad, I think, because I have moved a little more southerly there. Otherwise, I'm not entirely sure where they could be going. They could be going for Peleliu here. That might be something we need to look out for. In fact, what we're going to do is launch out, I think, might launch out some Bessies from truck, but we will launch them out with... Do we launch them out with large bombs to go for a light cruiser perhaps? Might go for that Brooklyn. Might be a decent idea actually. We'll only have 9 bombs there though. We could also launch out some Mavises armed with some bombs as well, and they will have 2 bombs per plane. Don't think that's necessarily a bad idea, so we can launch out those, do some level bombing there and try and get 1 or 2 hits in. So let's cross our fingers and hope they die. Let's get going. Alrighty, so come in fairly cleanly here. What are we looking at then? Which is the damaged Omaha? I might want to try and look at that. And the number 3 is the damaged Omaha. That will be going to very, very slow speed indeed. We could try and finish that off. We could try and go for the Brooklyn here. I'm liking that because it is a slightly bigger target, slightly more dangerous target. That's the number 2. Let's tell you what, let's get the Mavises in on that to begin with. And we can see what we want to do afterwards with the Bessies there, I think. So let's carry on over here like so. I think we'll speed's not so bad. We'll increase the altitude a tad so that we do stay away from the AA5 just that little bit more, like so. What was our altitude over here? A little lower there, not to worry. That's absolutely fine. The speeds are pretty much matched. Let's speed up just here a tad. And we'll try and altitude bomb this Brooklyn, shall we? Are they manoeuvring against us? It appears they are at the minute, not to worry. I think we might need to slow down our speed so that we can get a decent turn in there. We are going to have to lead quite a bit with our bombs here, especially if we go for quite a high speed and altitude there. So, do we go for a line ahead here? I'm not entirely sure what we do, but what we do want to do is break off here, and we can tell them to attack from here so that they can align themselves individually here. And we have already lost some Mavis. This is the thing with going in with Mavises. They are very, very large and very, very slow indeed. Which is why an altitude bombing is probably the safest bet here. But like you see, already lost the 1. Might want to increase our speeds here a tad. No, that one's down. Yeah, let's definitely increase our speed with this one then. It's just not going to happen. So comically bad. The Mavises. But it's worth a shot. Especially with the payloads they can offer as well. The 2 800 kilogram bombs per plane. We don't think we're even going to be able to drop with these, which is very, very sad indeed. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. That's probably going to miss either way though. Look at that lead and the turn from that Brooklyn. But we got a couple bombs off there. Even if both of those hit, it won't be enough to sink unless you do get 1 in a million shots right into their magazine. But I mean, come on, when's that ever going to happen? I mean, that was very well placed for the magazine, but it won't be the case. That was very, very close indeed. So that's going to give you minor damage, isn't it? Yeah, minor to minor. Not to worry there. I think with the Bessies, oh, they're straying a little too close here. I think we do go for the Omaha because that is, of course, more damaged. If we do get a few bomb hits, that would be brilliant. So let's break and attack here with this group. And the other 2 can come in as well. Don't need to worry too much about positioning here, I don't think. What's the speed of that Omaha? I haven't actually looked. Yeah, 3 knots. That is absolutely terrible. So we did get some very nice hits on its engine and hopefully rudder previously. Yeah, already dropping with these Bessies. Let's tell them to form back up and get out. Like so. Just increase your altitude as well if you can, please. So how's that looking there? Oh, look at that horrible misses there. Just some near misses. Very, very disappointed indeed. But don't worry, I'm sure they were all duds to begin with. Oh dear. Not liking this, how we've spread about with our formation here. Not quite a need to do that so much, is there? Let's see, we're from the... which Bessies we got here? Let's form up here. And we can turn out once again over here. So they're not flying through all of their AA just yet. Should be about to drop with our second group as well, following on there. And oh, so close once again. Sounded like we lost the Bessie there. And again, all of them miss. Oh, that is horrible. Absolutely horrible. It's only going at 3 knots. Come on, guys. I do wonder if we should go for perhaps a skip bombing tactic with our bombers here, because the altitude bombing has only really worked against battleships, and that's only because they're such large ships to begin with. We are losing a lot of Bessies there as well. So I think it's time to get out. Don't go back in their line of fire, please. And just call it a defeat there, really. Unsuccessful attack and a half. So let's go back and see what we can do about that. Okay, so while hunting down the remainder of that task force outside of Truk and Guam and such, we did notice right outside of Cebu another American task force marked up as a battleship task force. We have launched out from Akagi and Hiryu. You can see we've got a huge amount of planes here, and it is a fighting force, so it's not an invasion task force, thank God, but it is led by another Renown. Interesting. Do we go for this now, or do we just go for some supporting ships? We do have the Kate in order to do so. Could be our attack on Force Z here, in a way. Ooh, we have, I believe that's the Trump here as well. Interesting. We've brought in some zeros. We're going to use those, of course, to distract some AA once again. And we're actually going to try and strafe a destroyer, I think. So let's circle around with those and reduce our altitude there. I think we'll, of course, go for the leading destroyer here with the Kates. I think what we'll do is we'll take roughly half of them. How many do we have? I think we go from 40 to 50 here. Let's just bring up this group here. Take the majority of them over, increase their speed and increase their altitude for now, just so they're out of the way of that AA fire. And we can bring those out to the enemy's port side. And we can just form up with this group over here and let them hang about on their starboard flank over here. Once again, we'll increase our altitude a tad, and I think with the vowels what we'll do is we will try and align those with our zeros. Form up there. So they come in onto the Renown here as we are strafing the destroyer. I think it's probably for the best there. So let's turn around, try and get that in motion. Just watching the map here to watch our formations. So, of course, aside from the Renown, of course, we have to take the battleship cruiser out of the equation. It is a fairly light task force here. Mostly destroyers, a light cruiser, and a single county. Not the greatest threat, but it is very close to our carriers outside the Philippines, which is why we have to really worry about this at the moment. Now, let's decrease the speed of the zeros here by quite a bit and bring the vowels in, I think, certainly quicker and directly onto that Renown, shall we? So this is the repulse. And we will lower our altitude a tad with our zeros. Do still need to dive down for that attack. I think we'll tell them to attack from here so they can get straight out there. How are our Kates looking? I think we should certainly start to dive down now. And we will hang about a bit, wait for the other two attacks to happen. And how are we looking? How are we looking over here? Once again, Val to try and slow down the Renown over here. just about getting onto the rear of that destroyer. That's a lot of explosions though. It's looking very nice indeed. Hopefully that removes some AA for our Kate's approach. Do we go into another destroyer? I think we have the option to go over for this one. Let's target that, slow our speed down, turn into that, and I think go straight away for that attack. So that we can now, I think, go for the valves. We're already taking fire over here. What we should do actually is break with our valves so they all individually attack, so in case we do lose the leading plane there, they carry on with their attack orders. But how are we looking over here? This is in fact a Fletcher. I can't remember seeing a Fletcher previously in this campaign. Sounds very nice indeed, but we've lost a lot of zeros once again. That is the risk that they're there for though, unfortunately. Huge amount of zeros losses. Look at that. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. We are getting in with our valves now. So it should be a fairly decent dive. Let's just... do we mill about with our Kates here? Do we go straight in? How are we looking with the other Kates? They might want to increase their speed on the approach and of course start diving down. We'll go to an attack altitude there and bring them in over here. We will certainly move there and target that. I think we will have to just slow down our speed a tad and circle around with these Kates over here. Yeah, they were going max speed, so that's why they're so far forward there. This is a very, very tight valve formation. Just a couple flak shots. We're already losing a lot of valves here as well. Not going to do the greatest amount of damage at all with this drop. Once again, a few shots on the engine would be very nice indeed. Look at all of that AA fire coming out. I'm really worrying about our Kate's approach now. But yeah, there we go. Not the greatest amount of hits either. You can see over here we did get one or two duds as well on that. Very, very nasty indeed. So, how are we looking on that? Minus and minor, as you may well expect. I'm wondering a tad though about these Kates. We're going to have to slow down here. Absolutely have to slow down, and we will just widen out a tad over here. And I think these Kates are going to have to just come round over here and start diving as well, so we're ready to attack in just a second. We are going to go for two large formational attacks here. I think that's where we've been going wrong with our Kates. I do quite like the large formation attacks so that we do have that spread if need be. And of course the anvil attack does limit the enemy's manoeuvrability options as well. I think now we should really tell this group to go in and attack, because we're going to faff around too much otherwise. And we'll just come straight in over here if possible with these Kates. Once again, not well timed at all, so we can't really dilute their AA fire too well. But should be okay if we do get a few hits on either side. That will work very, very well indeed. Come on, come on. You want to guess in a little better. We are still attacking. Please drop. Please drop. I think that's muddled it. It's too much losing the lead plane there. No! No! Please. Okay. They're just going to have to get out, I think, and try and live to fight another day, unfortunately. In that case, what we're going to do is break off here. Should have learnt this lesson by now, shouldn't we? And attack individually with our planes there, because once again, losing the lead plane really muddled the attack there. Horrible, horrible attack. Right, hopefully we do get a few decent hits here. All we can do is watch now, and maybe someone in the comments actually did recommend doing an echelon either left or right formation depending on where the centre of mass of the enemy's ship is, and I think that might not be a bad idea. Maybe on the next attack we can try that. If anyone else has any thoughts on that, any previous experience, because look at that lead, just far too great there. We need a lot more torpedoes. You can see the misses there. So going for the centre mass of the ship there would have been a very good idea. Maybe an echelon right into the centre of that ship would have been decent. But again, we were expecting to hit that from both sides, and it didn't happen. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits there will not be enough to sink that. If we do have a look at the torpedo protection there, if we go to SBB here, what is it? 75%. That is extremely high for a battle cruiser, I would say. That might well be higher than the... Let's have a look. Where are we? BB. It's 85 on North Carolinas and such. I thought it might be a little lower. What about the standard classes? Yeah, it's of course higher than the standard classes at 55%. Actually only 50% on the Pennsylvania, isn't that? Interesting. So how's that looking? That does have quite the list on the nose there. But once again, not enough to sink it. It's heavy to heavy. And I'm actually very disappointed that we didn't get that number 6 destroyer either. Look at the damage there. You can see the guns are out of action completely. And the fires from stem to stern as well. But it still hasn't gone down. So very, very disappointed attacks today. Very disappointed in our pilots. Look at all the losses we took as well. Certainly not worth it there. Just throwing our pilots' lives away, I think, today. And that, again, because we've lost so many planes, we're going to have to resupply, aren't we? And I think we're going to have to send these 2 carriers back to Kure to resupply rather than truck, because we do want to resupply with our other 2 carriers around there, don't we? So this is the massive drawback now of using so many aircraft carriers. Yes, they can be potent sometimes if you get it right. If you if you maneuver them, if you maneuver your planes correctly yourself. But the payoff there, especially when you don't sink enemy ships, you do have to spend so many resources now to resupply your planes, as you should do, absolutely. Because you can get that right. We could have easily, if I don't know, if we managed that just a little better, we could have got that renown. Absolutely could have got that renown. We've done things like that before, haven't we? And a couple of destroyers, but it wasn't to be. Let's start moaning about it, and I think we'll see if this does actually succumb to the flooding and fires. What we will do is just keep 1 Kate about here to keep sight on that, and we'll circle round and just keep that in sight, out of the AA range, and see what happens with that destroyer at least. Well, eventually that destroyer did sink, but like we said, is it really worth the cost of all those planes? Probably not, just for a destroyer. We did cripple that battleship, so we do have an submarine in the area there. We're going to have to pull out with our carriers. We did order them to do so a fair bit. I think we go a little further and really actually just pull out and go straight to Kure and restock our air groups there, to be honest. We do still have a few Kates left on our Hiryu, but I don't want to have to lose any more planes at the moment, thank you very much. So that was right outside of Cebu and Del Monte there, as you can see. So very, very lucky we spotted that, actually. They were, of course, in between our radar coverages there, which is what spotted them. Otherwise, they'd have pounced right on top of our 2 carriers here. So we should be able to catch up with that with our 2 submarines here. We have the I-17 and I-19 here. But we'll see about that. Fingers crossed. We're still trying to catch the remainder of this task force roughly over here with our I-54. There's been no sight of that just yet. So let's see what we can do. We were sending these, what were we waiting for over here? They don't have any movement orders. So I think we patrol a little more closely to Formosa here, like so. And we'll send the I-16 down to Manila as planned there. Let's just make sure that is moving. Sometimes I don't follow their movement orders on loading up your game. So this is where we spotted that North Carolina. You can see it is moving away over here. We do have our supply interceptors, but I don't think the Congo's really a good idea to engage a North Carolina with. We do have the Musashi, of course, actually still on course to intercept that. So we'll see if we can catch that. That'd be very, very nice indeed, wouldn't it? Let's keep going. Well, we were unfortunately unable to get hold of either of those 2 task forces, either the Iwo Jima task force, the Philippines task force, or even the invasion task force we were chasing around on the previous day. But on the turn of the next day, our I-16 outside of Manila has spotted another invasion task force headed by a bogue and a few destroyers. We have a light cruiser over here. In fact, we have a couple, I believe. It's just that one and the County. So we're going to have to be very careful about this, because once again they're going to sail right on top of us. You can see them bearing down on us on the map here. So I think what we do is we stop accelerating towards them, and in fact what we do is move out and try and very, very slowly reverse away from them there. And we're turning the wrong way there. I want to get a little more perpendicular, like so. But what do we want to target here? I would love to sink the carrier. I would love to sink the carrier right now. But, of course, this is currently all we have over here to fend off this invasion task force. So I think we do have to go for, of course, a cargo ship. And I think what we'll go for... Oh, we may well be spotted there. Let's scope down and down our depth a little bit there. Fairly decent high sea state there at 4, and visibility is 61%. But with these fighters out, don't really want to risk it. Not hungry for biscuits just yet today. So we are actually going to go for the number 2. And that's because I'm a little scared of hitting the escorting destroyers with our torpedoes, depending on how we lead, before they get to the ships over here. So let's go for the C3. Where are we? Like that. Excellent. You can see just how many troops and supplies the C3 can carry. It is rather a bulky ship over here. So, what else do we have over here? This appears to be an Enterprise, I believe. Let's have a look at that CL over here. It's certainly not the Dano. We've sunk the Emerald, so it is in fact the Enterprise over here, which is a very nice little light cruiser over here. In fact, it does have the dual mount guns on the fronts there. That's about it though. It does have a few other guns. Exactly how many does it have in total? It does have 7. It does have a small number of torpedoes as well, and some depth charges, you must remember. It does have some passive sonar, but not active, which is rather interesting indeed. 0 radar at all. Do of course have a County about as well. And there's the bogue over here. Oh, we've sunk a few of these, but they have such a huge capacity of bogues to draw upon here. Absolutely huge. Let's remind ourselves of that. So they have 41 bogues in total, and we have sunk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, it's not too bad. We have sunk a fair few, but not enough. Nowhere near enough. It's never enough, is it, until you've got all of them. So I think aim of the game here, wait around, and just, yeah, get in range of this. I'll see you in just a second once we've done that. Righty then, so I think this is probably the best shot we're going to get. We don't have the greatest degree lead there, as you can see, -6 degrees, so I would like to aim a little further ahead, but I think with the leading destroyers here, it's probably for the best to go in between that. So we are going to fire 5 torpedoes out at a 1 degree spread. I don't think there's any point in going for a 2 degree spread at this range, and a 5 torpedo spread will ensure a few hits there. So with the 75-ish solution as well, give or take, that should be fairly decent there. Let's fire out on this C3, shall we? Get that going. Very, very nice indeed. I really like the sleek bridge design of the C3 type, of the C type here of destroyers. And reading the bloody targets indicator there. This is a C type destroyer. Fucking submarine as well. You can tell I've not put my brain, not turned my brain on today. Getting resting on our laurels too much, I think. So we do have to turn back on ultra quiet. I did turn on ultra quiet for a minute there, just double check it's off, and we'll go down to 70 meters. And while they haven't spotted us and don't know we're here, we will go to a very risque 5 knots. And just turn outs there, I think, before the destroyers have any chance of hitting us. The County does not have any active sonar, I believe. Let's double check that. It actually does. That is rather interesting. I was not aware of that. It does have some decent passive, of course. but it doesn't carry, or does carry depth. The county is a very, very useful heavy cruiser. Look at that. It does carry a small number of depth charges there. You learn something new every day, eh? So we will want to get as far away as that as possible. Of course, we will open up with the destroyers first. But not to worry though. In fact, how does that compare to the Clemson work? So it's 3 kilometers on the active. If we go over to the Americans and go to DE, so it's actually better sonar, or at least active sonar on the county there, but it won't have quite so many depth charges, of course. But if they find you, doesn't matter how many they have, if they hit, you're in danger there. So let's watch these torpedoes. Not looking too bad at the moment there. Again, the 1 degree spread will spread out a little wider the more distance you get, of course, so that's not so bad at all. We were roughly 7 kilometers away from that, 6.1. It's not too bad at all. I think it will be quite easy to get that, actually. But no, that will just about miss there. Look at that on the map. Can we spot them on in the water? They're yet just passing by the rear of the ship there, and that is very, very unlucky indeed. Not even going to hit anything on collateral there for them to go into. That is very, very sad indeed. Very, very sad indeed. So, failed attacks all round today, I think. They haven't spotted us. They don't know we're here just yet. They only turn on their sonars and go active once we do hit something with the torpedoes. So, I have to call it there, unfortunately. I have to run away. Where exactly was that? It was just outside Manila over here. If we mark that down as supplies over here, and we can keep going on with our submarine over here. It does have one thing about the C-type is it does have a lot of possible torpedoes. We have 15 left. That should be okay. We will launch out some stuff, and we will push in, I think, with these subs as well. Once again, couldn't find that renown remaining either, but I think we do need to push in over here to try and pick up that group. But that will be for the next video, I'm afraid, guys. It is unfortunately all I have time for today. It's very sad that we couldn't get any successful attacks in today, but you can't win them all. You can't win them all, can you? As the ancient saying goes, you win some, you lose some. So it's not too bad at all. We are moving in to resupply our Philippines bases, but will that be too late? We'll have to see with that invasion force coming in. Only have a few supplies on this group anyway, and that is for Davao, but we are coming in as well with more stuff over here. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please leave your feedback in the comments section below. It does very much help me gauge what the engagement is with those comments. So I shall see you in the future. Thank you very much for watching. I've been the Edified Gamer, and I hope all of your nights and days are auspicious. Goodbye.